YouTube, it's Carl More Music, and I'm back with another episode of More Mics, Please. I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? Such a crazy life. Such a crazy life. Such a crazy life. Such a crazy life. So today's episode features the SA87T from Stam Audio. This is a U87 style microphone, but Joshua Stam from Stam Audio decided to add a tube into the circuitry. At the top of the video, we were able to hear the microphone across multiple sources in context, but now we're going to check out the mic on these sources solo. I always say it, but I am a fan of 1073 style preamps on vocals. So today's choice of that style of pre is the HA73 from Heritage Audio. What I was excited to include was the 610 from Universal Audio as the tube offering for a vocal preamp. Let's listen to those right now. I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? I got up out my bed, thinking it was early, so I looked at my clock. Man, it's at 7:30. My job starts at 8. My boss don't like me late. I'm saying to myself, how did I start this day? So YouTube, I just wanted to take a moment to pause and acknowledge the sponsor of today's episode, and that is 1127 Media Group. They have a special message that they want you to hear right now.
There's enough content talking about how our society makes it on us as Black fathers. I just want to provide encouragement and shed light on the positives of that. So I hope that you tap in with it. I hope that you support it. And there's even an opportunity to invest in helping to make this happen. Black fatherhood is something that I think in a lot of the recent years has began to take on a new identity, and that's something I'm proud of, and I just want to help push that narrative.
All right, so we've heard the SA87T on vocals. Definitely make sure you comment in the comment section what you thought and how you felt about what you heard and your response to the microphone. I'll probably give my opinions later on in the video. But let's move on to the instrumentation. So we're gonna hear some hand percussion, we're gonna hear some Reamp Synths, and we're gonna hear some Reamp guitar. My good friend Chuck Smith provided me with some clean guitar stuff, and I do have the Vox amp for reamping guitars. I know there are probably much better options on the market, so guitar purists, guitar specialists, don't thrash and bash this portion of the video too much about, but I kind of like the tone that I got from it. And I wanted to see what the SA87T could do as I reamp those guitar tones. I did use Black Lion Audio's B12A Quad because I thought it was an appropriate preamp in that context. And then for the Reamp Synth, I did go back to the 1073 style preamp. I again felt like that was the best option. Look at the lower thirds or any of the graphics on the screen to see what compressor was used. But let's check out some of these reamp parts and these hand percussion parts to finish out the track right now. All right, so for my thoughts on this, I really do think this is a solid microphone. And I'm not just saying it just to say it, but I feel that way. I do try to go for microphones that will stay in my locker and get regularly used on the material that I'm working on. Either it's for a client or even for myself, I just like to have solid gear, and I think Stam does an awesome job. So there's top end like in a U87, but I also feel like there is tube saturation that you don't get from a standard U87 because there isn't a tube in that topology. So that's a plus and a benefit. I like the shock mount. I like the design. It feels very sturdy. I didn't hear a bunch of like resonant frequencies when it got bumped just by handling the microphone and setting it up. I'm a big fan of flight cases because it's good storage for me. And then when you're traveling and you need to send the microphone out, I'm very comfortable with it. Or even if you just box it up and send it for repairs, I'm just glad to have a flight case to stick my microphone in. I know that there are other microphones that cost more than this one, ticket price, but you're getting a very solid microphone. This is just my subjective opinion, but after a certain threshold, which this microphone price point is above that threshold, a lot of pieces of gear on the market are actually solid and they're good enough for you to get good tones out of. It's more important that you get the better chain, you get a good performance from your source, and you have good recording techniques. That will yield more sufficient results or get you at least closer to your desired result over sometimes the type of tool that we use or the price point of the tool that we use. So overall, Stam did a good job. I don't have any complaints of any of the gear that I have from them. And it's not just microphones either. I have that 2-bus compressor and that thing is solid. So kudos to Stam Audio. Joshua, you're doing your thing, man. Keep making solid gear. As always, like, share, and subscribe because there's definitely more content. And like I always tell you guys, go out and make some good music.